Hello again everyone, so I'm here to do another one of my request videos after a nasty bout of flu. Now I'm still feeling on the edge of groggy and sometimes I cough, so I will lean away and use my water. But I think I'm feeling well enough to talk to you guys about this video. So this was requested by someone who is a life path number 7. But their soul urge drives them. They're motivated to be a 2. Now, this is going to help and, of course, sometimes hinder the 7's development because the soul urge number 2 wants to be around people all the time. So they'd be good. The life path 7 with the 2 soul urge is unlikely to isolate themselves beyond what is healthy because their motivation pushes them so much to be around others. So the life path 7 will struggle less when they have a soul urge 2 with self-isolation and not balancing their alone and social time in isolating themselves too much, I guess is what I'm trying to say in too many words. But what they might do is they might socialise too much and not spend enough time in what they're here to do, which is self-discovery, spiritual development, intuitive development, research, and filtering that research through your intuitive voice within to gain truths that you can then express to others or connect to others with. Now, the life path 7 isn't really one for expressing that information. They're really all about developing themselves. But, you know, the life path 7, when you look at their sub-lessons, because, you know, not everyone's just a 7. Some people are a 167. Some people are a 257, and you've got to take those other numbers into account. The 2 and the 5 are very social numbers. So the 7's going to can use the soul urge number 2 quite well. And the sub-lessons of that life path 7, you know, could be helped greatly by the motivation in the soul urge 2. But where I can see a downfall straight away is they might socialise too much and not spend enough time going within, you know. But let's look at what the life path 7 is here to do, and then look at what the soul urge number 2 drives you to want to do. And then we'll break down each lesson of the life path 7, because that is the key number in your chart. Everything must serve that life path 7. So we'll break down those lessons of the 7 and see how the soul urge number 2 is going to help and sometimes hinder certain elements of the life path 7's development. So your areas of development when you're a 7. Remember, the life path and the birthday number are your things to improve. They're your life purpose, your next stage in your evolution. So you're not necessarily going to find the elements of your life path and birthday number all that easy to do. So don't panic if you find this difficult. You're meant to. I'm a 7, I know. So you're here to develop full trust in your soul's intuitive stored wisdom in the soul within you, without overthinking, without overanalyzing everything that comes to you in an intuitive voice. And just feel safe in the knowledge that all experiences that you go through, all things that you're drawn to or repelled from, are lessons for your soul's evolution that really must be listened to. Now, this is the most important thing for a life path 7 to grasp, is going within and following your own guidance and not being totally guided or jaded totally by the outside world. You've got to look at the outside world through the eyes of an intuitive, knowing truth finder. And that can be quite difficult to do for a 7, I know. So you're here to be focused on your own inner development. That is the thing for you in this lifetime. I know you've got to consider your sub-lessons, but this is the major thing. This is top of your tree, is inner development, self-discovery, spiritual development, seeing who you really are as a soul within a human shell. You're here to be a free thinker, independent, not taken in by popular culture and, you know, what the paradigm wants us to, how the paradigm wants us to live our life. And they're here because 7s often struggle to balance their alone and social time. they've got to balance that in this lifetime, because sevens can either be prone to isolating themselves totally and wanting to go and live in a tree, to over-socializing and not spending enough time within. So that needs to be balanced as well. As a soul urge number 2, your passion, your motivation, your drive, you're driven to a relationship build, basically, to team build, to be around others, to have balanced responsibility and respect for your own boundaries. So you work alongside others, but, look after yourself as well as part of a team where everyone is considered. That's very important to you in your soul when you're a soul urge 2. You want to cooperate in a team or a family or a group. You want to be responsible but not walked on, and be depended on to plan and look after the group and keep everything running smoothly in the background, keep those cogs turning, whether it's family, group or a team. You choose to want to develop your intuitive connection with others, like to know before the other person does what healing they need or whether they're okay or not. A motivated 2 wants to understand others, and they will try to read others. And of course, your potential in the 7 will help you there. And of course, it matters what your expression number is, because they all work together. So it's that I've lost my place. I tend to go off on one and then forget where I am. So you choose to develop your intuitive connection, to be sensitive to the needs of others. You want to be. People are the center of your motivated world. You're looking inward, though, thankfully, for validation. You look to your intuitive voice within to tell you the best actions to take. Well, that's what you're motivated to do anyway. You have a healthy need for love, very balanced in your way. Relationships are very important with you, and you know how to love and when to step back, or that's how you want to be. And you want to have healthy boundaries around your relationships. You just love to be around friends and family and bringing peace and even mediating conflict where you can to keep everybody in harmony. So as you can see there, the soul urge 2 is a very motivated social bumpkin. So when you've got to go for your own inner development as the main part of your life purpose, you can see where there could be a snag unless you watch this video and you are aware that you need to focus on yourself more and not let that soul urge 2 motivation totally take over. So as a 7, you're here to learn and to develop faith that you are actually an immortal soul that has experienced other multiple lifetimes and will experience more lifetimes, that this body is just the machine you're in this lifetime. Now that belief, that development in itself can take quite a long while in a 7. So to learn to realize that actually you're a little dot of soul energy, and this machine, this body that we're in, is just the machine we use to experience the world, to learn our lessons. Because, we can be up in the spirit world and go to their libraries and listen to our guides. But unless you actually experience this yourself, you never fully know. That's why we come to Earth. And it's up to a 7 to learn to understand that first and foremost. Then they must trust that soul within them. Listen, follow their intuition without overthinking, without applying worldly logic to their intuitive thoughts. Often it's the chimp or the ego that steps in that kind of disrupts the intuitive voice. So it's important that a 7 listens to and follows their inner voice and feels safe enough to communicate that soul wisdom without fear of ridicule, because some 7s can feel that the world will ridicule them for their wisdom, so that contributes to their tendency to isolate and not trust the world around them, even the people around them. But that's an unbalanced 7, and they need to balance that. But we'll talk about that in a while. Your motivation in the 2 energy means that you're driven to listen and trust that intuitive voice within. Boom. You like to use your intuitive sensitivity to be aware of other people's needs. You like to know how other people feel so that you can endeavour to serve them. This is just what drives your soul. You're driven to communicate your soul wisdom to those close to you. But what you need to do is start using that intuitive voice to guide yourself inside the decisions you make, the research that you read, what is intuitively true about that, the people that you listen to in the world that are full of wisdom, what is intuitively true about that for you. So it's using your intuition in a slightly different way, but it's still the intuitive voice. So as a 7, don't just use your intuition to assess others. Use your intuition for yourself as well. Go within with questions and answers. Answer feelings. Follow, listen, and trust. You won't regret it, and it will really help you down your life path. So to support your life path 7, ensure that you listen to that keen intuition for your guidance, for your everyday things that you do, for the decisions that you make, and trust your intuition enough to happily share that wisdom or act on that wisdom without any kind of fear that it's wrong. That's really important for a 7 to do. You're here to trust that the world is not against you, because a 7 life path can struggle a bit to trust. And they can feel, the thing is, the 7s look for truths, and they often end up following conspiracy theories, which I did at some point in my 7 development, but stopped doing so because it actually generates fear. And you think, well, you can learn about these and get scared of them, but unless you can do anything about it, I don't see how generating fear within yourself is useful, unless you can use that energy and find out whether these conspiracy theories are true or not. Some of them might be, some of them might not. But some 7s can feel that the whole world is against them personally, because of this core belief that the world is a bad place and everyone is against you and you have to guard yourself. And on the other side of the extreme, some 7s can be utterly naive and trust everyone and let everybody in. And when you're a soul urge 2, you might tip towards wanting to be the more trusting, naive side of the 7, which of course, then you're not looking at what's true and what's not, and you can get walked on, conned, treated like dirt because you've been too naive and trusting of the people around you. So it's about balancing that need, that trust in others, and using your intuition to know when to trust and when to go, okay, that's important. So what's important for the 7 to understand is that we're on this earth to learn. We're not on this earth to have a utopian existence and dance around with ice creams. You may have noticed. The universe is everything existing in perfect balance of light and dark, like a cosmic library of all knowledge and all experience. And that's love and that's hate, and that's violence and that's comfort and support. All of these things we need to experience and see in the world. How will we learn how bad hatred is without actually experiencing it or seeing it in play? How will we learn the wonder of love without experiencing it and seeing it in play? This is how we learn as souls. So the world can't be a utopia. If the world was a utopia, there wouldn't be much point coming. It would be like a constant holiday, and which is great, but we wouldn't develop as souls at all. We would end up in this limbo, and you know what? Boredom would eventually set in. Maybe not in this life, maybe not in another, but soon, and every other life that you have, because development is what it's all about, towards cosmic ascension. We're here to learn and evolve, and we've got to see it all at the end of the day. And it's up to the 7 to reconcile that and really understand that the world isn't all bad, but it isn't all good either. It's a 50-50 split of light and dark, and it's all experience. And you know what? It's not what happens to you. It's important for a 7 to understand. It's not what happens to you as a 7. It's how you deal with it and learn that matters for you especially. Now, this is true for everyone, but for a 7, this is top of the tree. So your motivation in the 2 energy means that you prefer to see the best in people. As I said, you can tip towards the more naive side and feel that the world isn't against you. Everybody loves you and everybody wants to look after you, and not everybody does. Not everybody does. You know, we've got to come to this light and dark understanding. Your drive to connect and see the best in others can make you too trusting and naive in your thinking. So to support that life path 7, use your intuitive voice again for your own needs, not just to assess others, to help you differentiate between truth and untruth, so you know who you can pull close and who is best to keep at a distance. Because listening to and trusting that inner voice and your gut feelings, however it comes to you, will help you see the truth and balance the polarity between complete mistrust and total naivety. And finding that balance is going to help you hugely in this lifetime. The focus in this lifetime's got to be on your inner development, as I said. Not so much about outer development and success in the world. It's about how you develop as a soul. Your wisdom that you listen to, the wisdom that you share with others, the wisdom that you really dig into your soul. You're here to develop yourself constantly, self-discovery, spiritual development, spiritual wisdom, learning, daily meditation, time in nature to meditate and think and muse and love the energy of nature. This is so much the 7, excuse me. But your 2 motivation energy, excuse me, every time I feel the need that I might cough, I will serve that with water. Your motivation energy, though, won't necessarily focus you on your inner development. It drives you to focus on nurturing other people, your relationships, and less about nurturing yourself, which could be a big snag here, because your preference to focus on serving and helping the people around you, which is lovely, is going to take you away from your own lone inner self-development. And, you're going to, lose yourself in many ways if you allow the soul urge to take over what your purpose is in this lifetime. However, your relationships are important to your inner development too. That's not something for us to forget. As long as you're learning from them and intuitively assessing them, there's still going to be some learning here, but you've got to spend enough time on you. So support that life path 7. Study and be aware of your lessons that are embedded in your relationships, which is going to be the easiest bit for you. But then ensure that you leave time to be alone. This is going to be harder, for musing and research to develop yourself using more theories, not just experience. You need to bring it all in, and then intuitively assessing whether what you're reading and what you're researching is true. There might be parts of it that ring true and parts of it that don't. That's cool too. It's developing a theory that you intuitively feel is right, that you can use to help yourself and oftentimes others too. Intuitive theory and life experience really is what it is all about for a 7. So you're here to learn to be a problem solver, a thinker, a studier of the metaphysical, the big questions. Why are we here? Who am I? Do I live and just die and that's it? Do I have a purpose in this lifetime? It's all about those big questions, and that's what the 7 is here to research and learn about and channel through their intuition, assess truths, and come to theories and accrue intuitive wisdom that I've just been talking about. That's an important thing for a 7 to do. But your 2 motivation energy means you like to research quiet. You like the quiet, calm energy that comes with deep thinking. So that's going to help a 7 to be able to sit calmly and think things through, research and problem solve. Nothing wrong with the motivation to, they will go inside and go calm. They do like gentleness. They do like that calm relaxation. It really feeds the soul of a motivated 2. But your drive to serve other people, again, may take time away from yourself, as I keep on about, and your inner musing and your lone research. So support that life path 7 by ensuring that you take balanced time out for your own inner self-discovery, your own inner calm relaxation, walking in nature, researching, reading, problem solving, developing through your intuition, all those lovely things that a 7 needs to do in this lifetime. You're here to filter that researched wisdom that you learn from the world and from your experience through your intuitive wisdom, and use research of other people's theories and your experiences that are filtered through your intuition and then use that for your own needs. However, the 7 can really stamp on their own intuition sometimes. They can end up, hearing that intuitive voice and then start to analyze that intuitive voice and pull it apart and get to the point where they come to an opposite decision because they've just torn the intuitive voice up so much and overanalyzed it that they've actually not gone the intuitive way. They've over logicized. Oh, is that even a word? They put too much logic in and they've ended up going the other way and not listened to their intuitive voice within. That's very much what a 7 does. Or on the other side, if you're a bit airy-fairy and you're not pushing away your spirituality, you're pulling it too close, you can be so overly spiritual that you're not grounded in the world at all. You can ignore everyone's theories and come to your own airy-fairy decisions, whether or not that you may not have even put that through your intuitive voice. You just live in this cloud of belief and you don't really want to know what anyone else thinks. And 7 needs to balance that. You need to be grounded and you need to look at the earth and your experience, because that's what you're here for, and then filter that through your intuitive voice within. Don't push one away in favor for another. That's not what you're here to do. But your 2 motivation energy means that you love healthy connections and conversations with others, making you subject to varied theories, other people's theories in the world. You're a good listener, so you'll listen to everybody else's theories and everybody else's outlooks on the world, but you won't always express your own. So you can use this experience, this inner learning from what other people say to you, their varied theories, their varied outlooks on the world, to help you understand, to help you learn more about yourself, and use all this experience around other people alongside your intuitive thoughts and research. Didn't catch that one. To create a balance between your logical analysis of the world and other people's theories within the world and your spiritual intuition and what you actually believe to be true through the wisdom within you. Excuse me. Excuse me. I haven't coughed all morning, but I think too much talking, which I have done, has made me cough again. Right. So you're also here to be a free thinker. Remember, you're here to follow your intuition, not just the outside world. So you're not necessarily embedded in popular culture. You're not really here to follow the norms of fashion. Oh dear. Right, sorry, I had to take a short break there to sort myself out. I now have a nice coffee that hopefully will keep my throat and chest nice. So, let's carry on. As a Life Path 7, you're here to be a bit of a free thinker. You're not here to just completely immerse yourself in the world. You're here to look at the world and assess the world, basically, through your intuitive voice. So you're here to be very much a free thinker, less interested in being, underneath popular culture, following norms of fashion and appearance. You're just really not about that. It can sometimes make you feel that you're not like other people, or you're not talking about the same things or watching the same things on TV as other people. And, sometimes this can make a 7 feel a bit out of place in the world and a bit lonely at times, because they feel that they don't really follow the same things as others around them. But, that's what they're here to do. And it's not about using different interests to disconnect with others. You don't need to use that. You know, you can still connect with others on a deep level without watching the same programs on TV or wearing the same clothes. You get my drift. You know, there's ways to connect with others that have got nothing to do with popular culture, but sometimes we can use that as a reason to distance ourselves from others, or a 7 can at times. Your 2 motivation energy predisposes you to many social influences because that's what you want. You'll choose to be in that situation. So you may want to conform and even shapeshift to fit in with popular culture, to stay connected with those around you. And you can completely then disconnect from your purpose in the 7, which is to be a free thinker, to not be totally immersed in what other people tell you, and to look at the other side of the coin, to look what's beyond the veil, to see truths and not just believe what you hear in the press or the media and that kind of thing. So support your life path 7 by learning to celebrate your individuality. Be more authentic to yourself, not just what the group wants you to do. And take care not to lose yourself and your identity as, oh, I believe what the group believes. I think what the group thinks. I am what the group is. No, you are an individual. And as a 7, that's what you're here to know, to focus your life on, is who are you as a person, as a soul being, your identity. You know, being yourself and not losing yourself, being what you think others want you to be, is something that you might be motivated to do, but in the long run, it's not going to help you walk your path. So that's important for you to take note of. What have I done here? You see, that's it. So you're here because you're a 7. You love to research and intuitive loads of things and learn and research. But you can be a bit airy-fairy and learn too many things and be a bit scattered, because 7s like to look at everything. So you're here to develop the ability to focus on something, the most important thing that you're interested in, long enough to develop it into something useful for yourself and others. You can be a little scattered, struggle to focus on one spiritual or self-development topic at a time, because there's so many beautiful subjects out there. I understand. I'm a 7 with a 5 expression. I know what it's like to want to read everything, look at every subject, you know, and it's great to look at the world with the eyes of a child, but at some point, if you want to achieve anything, you've got to find your focus. You've really got to develop the ability to focus on your biggest passion in self-discovery and spirituality, and focus on it long enough to develop it in something useful, first and foremost for your inner development, and so that you can help and express that to help others' inner development. But your 2 motivation energy gives you the motivation and the drive to focus with patience on anything you set your mind to. But people could distract you. This is the issue. You do like to nurture ideas and plan and look at the details, so you can be motivated to do that, which is good. Organize tasks, look at all the detail, keep everything running smoothly. That's, you know, the focus. You can be motivated to focus, but it's more on plans and organization. So what you need to do is embrace that passion, that drive to focus and plan and nurture, to nurture your own self-discovery, one topic at a time, and to develop it into something useful progression for your own inner development. And it could be something that you could teach to others, especially when you're looking at your sub-lessons. You might not just be a life path 7. You might be 257. And 257s are communicators. So you'll have some sub-lessons there that's telling you to serve other people and communicate that wisdom with others. The 347 is about expressing the wisdom to others and actually building a business around that. So, you know, you don't forget those sub-lessons when you're looking at this. I might be focusing on just the single energies simply because of the detail involved, but don't forget those sub-lessons. So you're good at planning, you're good at focus, so embrace your drive to focus like a 2. to nurture your own self-discovery, to find out who you are as a person, to develop something important, your research, your interests into something useful that you can not only develop yourself with, but that you can develop others with. You know, this is important for a 7. You're here to develop interdependence, self-sufficiency, but also healthy dependence on other people, because remember, we're all connected, we all help each other, and we don't want to be overly independent or overly dependent either. It's like serving the whole and gaining that service back in equal measure. So you like to do things for yourself as a 7, and sometimes 7s can push others away with their independence, because they can feel that, you know, only they know what's best for them to do. But your motivation 2 energy actually predisposes you to want to pull others close, not push them away. So this motivation can help with this quite a lot. You believe that we should all look after each other as a 2. It's a motivation and a passion for you. And as interdependent souls, you know and feel and want to feel that we're all part of an interconnected whole. You know, whatever you do to one person, you do to the whole. When you heal one person, you heal the whole. So support that life path 7 by creating a healthy balance between your independence and your dependence on others, because it's a 50-50 split, and that's how the energy flows. You can't do everything by yourself, 7, and it's important that you do bring other people into your life in a balanced way. Right, so you're here to learn to deal with and reconcile your sensitive emotions as a 7. I know. Others can think, right, that you're either overly emotional, or they can even think you're aloof, okay? Because you're a well, as a 7, you're a well of deep emotions, and you don't always let it out, or sometimes you let it out too much. So you can come across as either emotionally unstable or emotionally aloof. But you need to learn to balance that, to connect emotionally to yourself in a balanced way, and most importantly, connect emotionally to others. Now, that could be difficult for a lot of life path 7s, but when you're a soul urge number 2, it means that you prefer to express calm, gentle emotions around others, so you might hold it in a bit. You will choose to connect with and help others with their emotions, but you might not focus enough on your own awareness of your own emotions and your own triggers, and you might not always take into account how your emotions and your lack of emotion or too much emotion may affect others. But you love to assess other people's emotions, and you will help others with theirs, but you won't always think about yourself or think that you have these same issues too, just in a different way. So make sure you're looking after yourself as well. This is the rub with this. So to support your life path 7, prioritize awareness of your own emotions and triggers. Even if it's only 50-50, but you do need to balance that out and spend more time on you, your own emotions, your own triggers, to help you express your emotions more positively and authentically, so that you can actually then connect with others more authentically. It helps everything to do such a thing. Balance your need to be alone and your social contact. As I said earlier, some 7s can isolate themselves too much, and some 7s can overly socialize and not spend enough time on their own developing themselves. So 7s on average really do prefer to be alone, but they've got what's most important is make sure they don't isolate themselves from others. You know, 7s tend to isolate themselves a bit more than they over socialize, weirdly, but you can have both sides of that spectrum, especially if you're a soul urge too, because you're driven to socialize and be around other people. So you might be one of those 7s that over socializes and doesn't spend nearly enough time in isolation, and you need to find that 50-50 balance, because your motivation in the 2 energy gives you a strong desire to work with, build relationships with others, helping you not to isolate yourself beyond what is healthy, but boundaries are needed, which 2s are good at bringing in to balance that alone and social time, basically, so that the 2 motivation doesn't take over the need for you to spend that time alone developing yourself, which is the most important thing for you to do in this lifetime. Now, that video was all about the soul urge, and these two books that I've got out are about just your purpose and how your soul urge affects your expression number. I'm still working on the soul urge one, but if you'd like to look into how your own life path, your own purpose can be affected, then these books might be interesting for you, especially if you want to be a numerologist yourself. Now, remember your life purpose here on the left-hand side for you, I think, is all about the lessons of your life path and the lessons of your birthday number, and how really that they should both be listened to in conjunction. So remember your life purpose is really that, you remember your life purpose, but it doesn't say anything yet about how you're going to cope with those elements of your life purpose and why some elements are easier for you than others. That's in Remember Your Talents, which is to do with how your life path and birthday number really connect with your expression number. So there'll be certain elements of your life path that you will find easier or more difficult depending on your talent number. And it's the same with the soul urge number. You're not going to do something you're not motivated to do. So these books blend the numbers together to give you a really good idea on how you're going to walk your path of purpose. Now, the soul urge book isn't out yet. I still haven't finished it all, and it's a little way away from finishing. But for you to get started, these 2 books might be interesting. They're on Amazon. All you need to do is put my weird name in Amazon, KT Ewers, YOUERS. And because no one else has really got that name, I come up top of the list. Woo! So both my books will be there for you to purchase in paperback form or online. You know what I mean, e-reader form. Anyway. So I've gabbled on at you all about these numbers, but I will always say to you, trust your own intuitive wisdom, because that's what matters most all the time. But if you want to send me a message, if you'd like a reading, if you'd like to ask me a question, request a video, anything that you'd like to contact me about, you can contact me by email. That's really the best way to contact me, because I'm not always on Facebook and Instagram, and I might contact you a bit quicker if you email me. But you can also contact me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn and Twitter. So remember, I've said a lot of things to you today, and I'm sure that a lot of those things will resonate. But always follow your own intuition, because only your own intuitive voice knows what's best for you. See you soon.